Welcome to Distress to Joyful, Bailey's Way. I'm your host, Bailey Raber, here to enlighten you and the rest of the world about one of the most misunderstood mental health disorders out there, bipolar disorder. In each episode, we'll learn more about my personal journey with bipolar 2 disorder, how I've struggled with it, and how I've learned to overcome those struggles. Together, we'll laugh, we'll cry, and most importantly, we'll have fun. You'll leave each episode feeling hopeful and stocked full of useful information on how you can better yourself and the world around you. Hello, friends! So I have some very important news that I just have to share with all of y'all. In case you didn't know, which I hope most of y'all do know, but on Saturday, July 16th, the 988 Suicide and Mental Health Crisis Lifeline in the United States went live. So guys, this 988 number, just share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues at work, just whoever you know. Everybody needs this. You need it for yourself. Have it, as an ally for other people, like your friends, and make sure to put the 988 number into your phone's contact list. This is a hotline that you can call or text 24/7 within the United States to access mental health support. So it's really easy, but it's really important. And this here is going to help everybody. It's going to help us save lives and hopefully make it easier for people who are in distress for mental health reasons to access somebody to give them help, quicker and easier. So again, the number is 988. Add that to your phone. Just have it handy, or just remember it. It's like 911, except it's 988. So don't screw those up. Oh, and another announcement I have. So the votes are in regarding my question from last episode about the mental health awareness and bipolar awareness t-shirts. And I've officially decided that I am going to create some t-shirts to add to my Etsy shop soon. I will let y'all know when that occurs, both in the announcements of the episodes and also on social media. So if you're not following Distress to Joyful _ Bailey's Way on Instagram, now is the time. But I also recommend that you head on over to etsy.com/shop/Bailey's Way Designs. This link is also in the episode description and in the show notes. But if you go there and you favorite my shop, you just, tap the little heart, it's going to actually send you notifications as soon as new items drop. So that way you don't have to be on the lookout on social media or wait to hear it 2 weeks later in the announcements of an episode. But you can actually get that, firsthand. So I'm excited. These shirts, I've got some really good ideas, and I'm going to start busting them out slowly but surely. In the meantime, I do have a couple new items in the shop. I've got some new bookmarks, some 4-packs that I'm really excited about. These are very, very teacher friendly, as in, y'all, it's about to be time to go back to school, and teachers deserve so much more than they receive. So the least you can do is purchase something, nice little gift that's going to be useful for them. And I've got some really beautiful, very teacher friendly, as in like the theme is so teacher friendly. You'll see little fabric bookmarks, because what teacher isn't reading some kind of book or having to mark a page in a book somewhere? So you can find those in my Etsy shop. I've also got some cute dog accessories that are going to come out soon, and I'm really excited about these. So y'all just keep your eye out for all those things. Some fun stuff is to come. But real quick, let's take a moment to talk about this little magic productivity drink that I am obsessed with that's called Magic Mind. So Magic Mind has the benefits of coffee, just without all of the extra caffeine. Guys, I'm super high energy, so I've given myself a personal limit on coffee to 1 cup per day in the morning only, because the caffeine really messes with my schedule and my sleep systems especially. So Magic Mind does not do that to me. Magic Mind actually gives me lasting energy, allows me to focus, and helps me to stay calm without all the jitteriness of the caffeine and stuff that coffee does. So that's one really important key thing that I really love about Magic Mind. Another thing that I love is that they use all natural ingredients. And my partner Monish is from India. And so when he read the ingredients on these bottles, he was super thrilled to see that I'm now consuming something daily that has ashwagandha in it. Because in India, ashwagandha root is known for relieving stress. So he actually takes ashwagandha supplements daily, and he's so pleased that I'm finding an awesome way to incorporate it into my life because we are now both seeing the benefits. So for the next 10 days, you can get 40% off your first purchase of Magic Mind so that you can give this wonderful magic little elixir drink a try for yourself. So head on over to magicmind.co/joy and enter code JOY, that's JOY, at checkout, and you'll receive 40% off. The great thing is they have a money-back guarantee, although I guarantee that you are going to find it just as amazing as I do. So if you're looking for a way to increase your energy, relieve stress, and stay calm during all of the crazy swings of life, you've definitely got to give Magic Mind a try. So don't forget, go to magicmind.co/joy and use code JOY to get 40% off your first purchase. You can also find this link in the show notes for this episode, but once again, that's magicmind.co and use code JOY. All right, friends, let's dive on into today's topic, how to support a loved one who is feeling depressed. So we're going to go over both the do's and the don'ts, because while it's important to know and understand what you can do to help, I personally believe that it's equally important to understand what not to do so as to ensure that you don't accidentally engage in behavior that could cause your loved one more pain or even drive them away from you. So I found 3 really great articles that I've taken bits and pieces from for this episode, and the articles are as follows. It is 10 ways that you can help a friend with depression that I found on intrepidmentalhealth.com. Y'all, I probably butchered that, but go to the show notes and you can find the link directly to this, and you can tell me if I pronounced intrepid right or not. Not quite sure. The other one is 6 do's and don'ts for supporting someone who has depression, found on health.clevelandclinic.org. And finally, how to help someone with depression was found on verywellmind.com. So again, just to reiterate, all of these episodes can be found in the show notes. Once again, I've only taken bits and pieces of all 3 of these articles. So that means there's a lot more info for you to gobble up via these articles themselves. So don't forget to go check them out in the show notes. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and start with the don'ts because I'm the type of person that wants the bad news first and then the good news. That's just how, end on a positive note. That's how I like to look at life. So I've got 6 do's and I've got 6 don'ts, and let's start on with those don'ts. So first of all, don't assume anything. So when you are when you're in the presence of a loved one or a friend who has, a depressive episode going on, or if they've got clinical depression, guys, don't assume anything. That's the first big thing. And I'm sure you've heard the phrase, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. And if you haven't heard that phrase before, let me just say it one more time for you. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Guys, you don't know what this person is going through, and you also don't know what it feels like. But what you can do is you can ask questions. So instead of just jumping to conclusions and, just assuming things about what they're experiencing, how they feel, what they need to do to solve the problem, whatever it might be, let's not do that. Let's instead ask questions and get curious. And I encourage you to use questions such as, is there anything I can do to help? Can you tell me more about how you're feeling? Or how can I best support you right now? All three of those, they do wonders, guys, when one of us is dealing with depression. I say one of us being somebody diagnosed with bipolar disorder, or just anyone in general who battles depression on a regular basis. Don't number 2 is don't belittle the situation. So I'm going to quote something that I found directly off of the 10 ways you can help a friend with depression. And it says, if your friend tells you about how they feel, take what they're saying seriously. Depression is not the same as having a low day or feeling sad. It is a debilitating condition that can affect every aspect of a person's life. Saying things like, I know how you feel, or we've all been there, is not helpful. It will make your friend or loved one think that you are not taking their illness seriously. If you have never experienced depression, you do not know anything at all about how it feels. Boom. All of that speaks the truth 100%. So guys, instead of belittling or trying to, I know how that feels. Guys, if you don't know how it feels, don't say things like that. It makes the situation for the person worse. Instead, it is so much better for you to admit that you don't understand what they're going through, but that you'd like to know more, or that you want to be there for them however you can. Or, just say something like, I'm here with you. I'm here. I got you. These things are so simple that they can make such a big difference when somebody is dealing with depression. And as we continue going through the don'ts, and the do's, I've got some really great life examples from Monish. Guys, he's been amazing. He has learned so much about how he can better support me, and I am so grateful for him, and I'm 100% tearing up right now because no one has done that for me before. Nobody has done what he has done, which is figure out what he can say that's just going to offer me a sense of relief and a sense of I matter. Because a lot of times, that's all we need, guys. A lot of times we just need to know somebody's there and somebody fucking cares. So the next don't is don't try to fix the situation or go into problem-solving mode. So this next bit that I'm going to read is from 6 do's and don'ts of supporting someone who has depression. And they say, recognize that supporting your friend or your loved one does not mean fixing their problems. A person with depression often needs treatment to see improvement, and that's something only a medical professional can provide. So instead, you can ask questions and offer to be support in whatever way your friend or loved one needs. So guys, for me, often I just need a big ol' hug, especially from Monish. He's my person. He feels like home. And so if I'm feeling down and depressed, sometimes I just need a hug. Or sometimes I just need him to sit there and listen to me. Other times, I just want to be left the fuck alone. And I'll tell him, I'll be like, look, I need time to myself. I'm going to stay here and just watch TV in this room. If you could go to the other room, that would be great. I literally did that the other day, and I always feel bad, but it's what I needed. And so I have to ask for what I need. So even though I feel a little ping of guilt doing so, guys, I still do it because I need it. And don't ever feel like you can't ask for what you need, especially from your romantic partner, y'all. That is part of communication that needs to be open and, accessible from the both of you guys. You should be able to ask for what you need. So back to what I need, y'all, it differs every single time depression comes around. And Monish has gotten really, really good about asking me what I need. But it hasn't always been this way, guys. Oh man, he is my little problem solver and I love him for it. But sometimes I have to look at him and say, Moni, I don't need you to fix anything. I don't need you to solve any problems. I just need you to listen. that has actually done wonders for our relationship, because if I'm depressed and I'm venting or I'm being vulnerable with him and he goes into problem solving mode, it normally will end up pissing me off, and then it sets me off, and then there's an argument or a fight, and then everybody's upset, and that's never a good thing. That's never a good thing. But recently, Monish has gotten really, really good about asking questions first before just jumping and trying to help. And if he's not, a lot of times what I'll do is I actually will start out conversations by saying, Moni, I don't need your help. I don't need you to fix anything. I just need you to listen. And he does that. And he knows, he knows his expectations. He knows just to listen and not to try to help and not to try to fix things. And so, guys, sometimes that is something that just needs to be mentioned as a line of communication to whatever friend or loved one or romantic partner, whoever in your life. Especially if you're the one feeling depressed and you're going to vent to somebody and you don't want them to help. A lot of times setting those expectations by saying, I don't need your help. I just want someone who can listen, and allowing the other person to say, okay, I can do that. I can listen and then move forward. That can do a lot of good. It's done a lot of good for me. I hope that will do a lot of good for you or anybody else in your life who needs to hear this. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the next don't. Don't try to be an expert. So this next little bit is taken from 10 ways you can help a friend with depression. And they say, an overriding feeling that depressed people have is that nobody understands them. So don't try to tell your friend how to cure their depression. Things like a healthy diet and exercise can help some people with depression. And sometimes medication works for some people and not for others. So with all of that, just leave the treatment of the illness to the professionals. The most important thing you can do for a depressed friend or loved one is to be there for them. So guys, I'm not going to lie. I've actually done this before, and I realize now how damaging it can be. So I'm not perfect. I will never claim to be perfect. That's a disclaimer if you haven't realized. But healthy diet and exercise 100% works for me. It does. But it is not right for me to assume that will work for everybody. Now, granted, my therapist is the one who had constantly recommended that I eat healthy and exercise regularly for years. Y'all, she would throw this down my throat every session for years until I finally began to listen to her and do so. And boom, my depression decreased significantly. And even to this day, when depression comes around, it is significantly less intense than previously because of my healthy lifestyle. So because of my personal experience with the benefits of a healthy lifestyle, I tend to recommend it to everybody around me. And that's not wrong for me to do so, guys. Let's be clear. It's not wrong for me to recommend exercise and eating healthy to everybody and anybody, whether or not they want to listen. I love to give that unsolicited advice. But what I think that I need to do personally is to pay more attention to the timing of my delivery of this unsolicited advice. So what I mean by that is I need to try to recommend these things to someone who is not currently in the midst of a depressive episode, and definitely not why somebody is opening up to me and being vulnerable about depression that they're going through. Because that's not the right timing. They're feeling depressed and trying to tell them, oh, yeah, well, if you exercise and eat healthy, you'll feel better. That doesn't always sit well with the person, because a lot of times we know that. Y'all, when I'm feeling depressed, I know that if I get up and go for a walk around the block a couple times or choose to eat a banana instead of a bag of chips, that I'm going to feel better. I know that. I fucking know that. But when I'm in the middle of depression, I can't see that. I can't see it as something that I can force myself to do, even though I know it'll make me feel better. Sometimes I just don't have the energy to get up and do it. or the desire to eat the banana instead of the chips. It's just how it is. And so if I'm sitting there and somebody tells me, you'll feel better if you put down those chips and eat a banana instead, y'all, that is not going to help. That's not going to help. But later on, when I'm in a better headspace and a more clear mind, as in it's not being clouded by depression, and somebody says, hey, you might benefit from exercising daily and eating healthier. There's a lot of, studies that show that actually decreases depression. Boom. That's a much better timing. Guys, timing is everything. Just remember, timing is everything. So the next don't is don't cast judgment or blame upon your loved one when they're going through depression. So this little bit that I'm about to read is from the article How to Help Someone with Depression. And it says, if someone you love is depressed and no longer able to do the activities like they used to, including working or helping around the house, you may feel like they are lazy. When you get frustrated, try to remember that somebody who is depressed isn't lazy. They're depressed. It is an illness. Everyday activities like cleaning the house, paying bills, or feeding the dog may seem overwhelming, if not impossible, to somebody who is depressed. Guys, this one is so important. Oh my God, I'm shaking my hands in the air. It's so important, especially if you live with somebody who battles depression on a regular basis. So Monish and I, like I've mentioned, have very open communication with each other. And I've explained to him in the past that when I'm feeling depressed, I often don't have enough energy to do the dishes, help with the laundry, or sometimes even make the bed, which seems like a simple, easy task. But guys, I am so beyond grateful for his patience and his love for me, because as long as I can communicate these things to him and be like, babe, I'm feeling depressed. I can't do these dishes today or tomorrow, or I don't think I just can't do them. He 100% understands, and he knows that, okay, if she's down and depressed, I'm probably going to have to pick up, some more of the responsibilities for myself, and I'm going to have to do all the dishes for the next 3 days. And you know what? That's okay. And he does it. Guys, he does it. Like, that's pure love, and I'm grateful for it. But also what helps, guys, is the communication. I have made it clear to him. He understands if I'm feeling depressed, I'm not going to be able to help out. And he's like, okay, I'll take over then. But you know what's great about that too is that I understand that there's times when I can't do as much and that he has to do more. So I make sure, and this is just for me personally, that I have taken upon myself that when I am feeling energetic, or if I'm, in the midst of some hypomania, which we will talk about in next week's episode, and I've got a lot of energy going on, then I'm going to put some extra work into household chores to make up for those times when he did them all. He's never asked that of me. I just want to make it clear that's never been an ask. But me personally, that's what I like to do to help balance the things out. So that way he's not feeling like he's taking on so much all the time. When I have the energy, I will do more, because there will be times where I don't have energy and I can't do anything. So back to judgment and blame. If someone you love, and especially if you live with them, is not, doing their fair share of the chores or whatever around the house, casting blame upon them and getting angry at them for not doing it is only going to make things worse. Y'all, they're already feeling shitty. Don't add to that. Please do not add to that. Please. And the last don't, which is the absolute most important don't, is don't give up. Don't give up. So this little bit that I'm going to read is from 6 do's and don'ts for supporting someone who has depression. And they say, but what if your friend rejects your efforts even when you've done all the right things? Their rejection may be a defense mechanism. They realize you're recognizing their symptoms and that they're not doing as good a job of hiding them as they thought, explains Dr. Borland. It's easy to react negatively to a friend who's unwilling to get help, but stick with them and maintain communication. Continue to check in on your friend and encourage them to get help. Dr. Borland also recommends trying to be there with your friend instead of for your friend. It means I'm in this with you even if you push me away. Ooh, guys, so important, such important stuff right there. So Monish is really, really good about not giving up and letting me know that he's here with me. We're going to talk about that more in the do's. So that's going to be, I think, one of the last do's that we're going to go through. So let's start with the do's. Let's get into the positive stuff, the things that we should be doing to support our loved ones. So do take the time to listen. Everybody wants to be heard. I don't know why I'm singing that, but that's true. I mean, even if you're not feeling depressed, guys, people just want to feel heard. So let me read this little bit from, again, 10 ways that you can help a friend with depression. They say that when people get depressed, they often feel very isolated. They may feel like they have no one they can talk to about their problems. You can tell anyone that you have a bad cold and you will get some sympathy. But it's difficult for a depressed person to talk about how they are feeling. So be there for your friend and let them do the talking. Encourage them to talk about their depression, but don't try to offer any immediate solutions. Again, back to that don't, y'all. Your support is the most important thing that you have to offer, and especially your ears, because a lot of times that's just what we need. Do take your friend or loved one seriously. So this is from the exact same article, 10 ways you can help a friend with depression. And they go on to say that depression is not something that somebody can just snap out of. You can't fix the problem with one good night out, for example. When you are talking to someone with depression, don't try to make light of the condition. Depression is a serious illness. You won't be able to help a depressed person by telling them to cheer up or to pull themselves together and get over it. Oof, yes. Take them seriously when they say that they're depressed, guys. Please remember, take them seriously. The next do is keep them in the loop. Ooh, the same article has this one. I've got a good point to touch on this. So they go on to say that a depressed person is likely to withdraw from their social circle. They may not want to socialize at all. Keep them in the loop, though. Invite them to the social events, but don't push too hard for them to attend. Inviting your friend or loved one to events will reassure them that they are not forgotten. It will remind them that their friends will still be there for them when they are ready to re-engage. Guys, this one is super, super important. It is so important, and let me explain a little bit why. So I have been feeling very depressed in the last couple of weeks. It started to go away. It kind of creeped itself back in, and I've been battling getting myself out of this. And the one thing that I wish my friends would do is to keep me in the loop. Because I don't feel like, I'm not trying to blame anybody. Let me just stop. I'm not trying to blame anybody. People just don't know better. So that's what the whole point of this podcast is to help people understand. But I don't feel included in a lot of things recently. I haven't been feeling. Let's rephrase that. I haven't been feeling included in a lot of things recently. I don't know what a lot of my friends have been up to. I honestly have not had the energy to check in on people because I've been depressed. And so what sucks about that is I feel lonely. I feel isolated. I don't have energy to reach out to anybody. And at the same time, nobody's reaching out to me. And that sucks because I want to know that my friends still care about me. I want to know these things. But it sucks that nobody's been doing that. And again, they don't know better. I have a very busy life, and so I think a lot of people just think that I'm just busy. And so I want to take this moment right here, guys, to remind everybody listening right now that the strong friends are the ones that you need to check in on the most. If your strong friends have, and I don't mean physically strong, guys, I mean mentally strong. If your mentally strong friends have all of a sudden kind of like disappeared a little bit, reach out to them. You don't know what's going on. If they're not feeling depressed, then great. You just hit them up and they're just happy to hear from you, and that's about it. But if they are feeling depressed or down or any of that kind of stuff, and you didn't know and you reached out to them, you could be sparking a little goodness and joy in somebody else's life just unknowingly. Or maybe you will know. Maybe they'll tell you. Who knows? That's up to them. But just remember, guys, to always check in on your strong friends when they start to go MIA, because they're the ones that really need to be checked in on the most. Do show empathy. So this little bit I'm about to read is from 6 do's and don'ts for supporting someone who has depression. And they go on to say, put yourself in your friend's shoes in a non-judgmental way. Think about how you would feel if you were coping with symptoms of depression and how you would want your friends to react. Maintain eye contact when listening. Maintain eye contact when listening and say things like, that sounds hard. I'm really sorry you're going through this, and I'm always here for you. Also, if you've dealt with depression yourself, a little self-disclosure can be very powerful, Dr. Borland points out. You're giving your friend or your loved one a gift by opening yourself up and sharing that you do understand, because you've dealt with depression and you felt these things too. By responding to your friend or loved one in an open and empathetic way, you show them that they are not a burden, which is important and also matters. Do be patient. Oh boy, so this one might be a tough one, but understanding that you cannot fix things for your loved one or your friend, and that all you can do is just be there for them as they write out their depressive episode or their depression. Just understanding that it's going to take time will be helpful. And that will hopefully help you to remember, if you start to get frustrated, like, wait a second, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take them some time. I need to be patient with them. Reminding yourself that will help both you and them. And the last one, do love them unconditionally. People who are depressed often feel a sense of guilt, y'all. That often happens, and they might believe that they are a burden to those around them. So this next bit is from How to Help Someone with Depression. They start by saying, people who are depressed often feel a deep sense of guilt. They may believe that they are a burden to those around them. Sometimes they even begin to feel that their loved ones would be better off without them. One of the ways that you can combat these feelings for them is by regularly showing and telling them that you love them unconditionally. When you become discouraged or angry, it is important to reassure them that you are frustrated with their depression, not them. Y'all, when I'm feeling depressed, Monish does an amazing job of telling me multiple times a day, in consecutive days, until he realizes that I've gotten myself out of it. He'll say things like, I'm here for you. And sometimes he'll switch it up and he'll say, I'm not going anywhere. And guys, these are such reassuring statements for me, especially when guilt kicks in. Because if I haven't been able to help with dishes the last 3 days, I'm going to start to feel guilty. And that's going to sometimes further sink me into my depression. So hearing Moni come up to me after he washed dishes for the third time this week, and he just sits there, he'll hug me, he'll look me right in the eyes, and he'll say, babe, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And I'm picturing his sweet little face right now when he says that to me, and I'm definitely tearing up again because it is so helpful, y'all. It is so helpful to know, okay, right now I feel like shit and I'm going through some shit and he doesn't really understand. And that's okay because he's here anyways. And he's not going anywhere. And he's not mad that I didn't do the dishes 3 fucking days in a row. It really, really, truly helps. Y'all, life is hard. And depression is something that needs to be taken seriously. So if you or someone you know needs help, please remember that seeking help is a sign of strength. So I'm going to give a couple phone numbers for some hotlines and some websites. There's going to be all of this information in the show notes. But once again, from earlier before, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, that has changed. That is now the Suicide and Mental Health Crisis Lifeline is the number 988. You can also text that number. There is a hotline for substance abuse and mental health services, and that phone number is 1-800-662-4357. And lastly, there is another hotline called the National Alliance on Mental Illness that can be reached at 1-800-950-6264. So I'm going to have all of these phone numbers and the websites in the show notes so that they're accessible to you guys. But please remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you are enough, and you are not alone. It's time for What a Weirdo! Okay, y'all. So this segment is here as a way for us to normalize weird habits that we all have, but don't necessarily talk about. And it's a way to create some wholesome laughter at the end of each episode, as sometimes we discuss some pretty difficult topics, as you guys know. So y'all, we all have some weird habits, and my hopes is that you'll be able to say, hey, me too, when listening to this segment, and that it'll help you feel less alone. So if you have been tuning into the show regularly, you've heard most of my weirdo habits, and now it's time to send in yours. But today I'm going to share another one of my weirdo habits because I just realized it the other day and it's definitely worth sharing. So I've been a vegetarian since January of 2021. I haven't eaten meat since. And a little side note before I mention my weird habit is that I've never enjoyed the taste of beef in my entire life. Never, ever in my entire life. But, guys, I love the smell of meat being barbecued on the grill, and especially beef. And I don't know why, because I will not eat that shit. I never ate beef in my entire life. Never liked it. But the barbecue place that's across the street from our apartment complex, ooh, y'all, if I'm going on a walk and I smell them, barbecuing up in the back like they do, because they smoke that stuff for hours. Oh, it smells so good. I have zero desire to eat it. Zero desire to eat it, but I just love how it smells. It's so weird. So what weirdo habits do you have? Send in your anonymous submissions by heading on over to whatisheybellsdoing.com/whataweirdo. And if you're not worried about anonymity and you want me to give you a shout out, dude, I am more than happy to. So just send me a DM on Instagram at @distressedjoyful_Bailey's Way. So the next episode is titled, This is What Hypomania Feels Like. So I'm going to divulge what it feels like for me when hypomania kicks in. And I'm also going to include research as well. Don't worry. But this is something that only those who are diagnosed with bipolar disorder feel. So with that being said, it can be really, really hard for someone to understand what it's like if they haven't been through it. So I'm going to do my very best to paint a very detailed picture to help those of you who don't experience this kind of thing to better understand it. And at the same time, I hope that I'll be able to help some of y'all who do experience hypomania to know that you're not the only one engaging in some of the behaviors that come along with it. So you don't want to miss this, especially if you or someone you know and love has bipolar disorder. It's going to be great. Thank you for tuning into the show. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram at distressedjoyful_Baileys Way and head on over to the website at whatisheybellsdoing.com to check out the show notes from this episode. If you enjoy this podcast, help spread the word by leaving a rating on Spotify or writing a review on Apple Podcast. Y'all, I want to hear from you. And I also want to give you all shout outs at the end of this year via an entire episode like I did at the end of season 2. But I cannot do this if y'all don't leave me any more reviews. So help me help you, please. And lastly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all of the new episode releases. But until next time, take it easy, stay grateful, and be joyful. Bye!